This meeting to order. I'm Carl Keel. I'm acting as the acting chair on behalf of Michael, who's out today. And I'll call the meeting to order. Anybody have any changes to the agenda? And seeing none or hearing none, I think we'll consider the agenda approved and move on to the minutes of our last meeting, which was January 18th, 2024. Any comments or concerns about the minutes? And if not, do we have a motion to approve?
Dahlheimer at Washington County moves to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Thank you,
Jason from Hennepin will second.
Thank you, Jason. We have a motion and a second, and I understand we'll approve this by roll call, and that will be also taking care of attendance. So, Robbie, if you could take roll call, please.
Yep. Jerry OJ.
Aye.
Carver County Mielke.
Aye. Here.
Excellent. Dakota County Fabish. Or John Sass. Hennepin County Piper.
Aye.
Scott County Jessen.
This is Nate Thomas. I'm filling in for Adam Jessen. I'll abstain.
Okay. Washington County Dahlheimer.
Aye.
Wilmington Keel.
Aye.
Eden Prairie Ellis.
I'll abstain.
Ridley Kozlucher.
Aye.
Lakeville Omi.
Aye.
Minneapolis Engineering. I think I saw Katie White.
She had to restart. She put in chat that she had to restart her computer.
I'm back. Thompson's is gone. St. Paul Engineering Weber.
Aye.
Metro Transit Genowiak.
Aye.
Suburban Transit. I think I saw Heidi Scholl.
Aye. Aye.
Excellent. DNR Spooner Walsh.
Aye.
MnDOT Bike Ped Turner Bargain or Mike Samuelson. Excuse me. Or Turner Bargain.
Turner Bargain here for Mike Samuelson.
Great. MnDOT Metro District Tag.
Aye.
MnDOT State Aid Brown.
Aye.
MNPCA AO. And McCutzel MTS Peterson or Henniker.
Yeah, Steve Peterson here, filling in for Cole, and I'll abstain since I wasn't at the last meeting. Thanks.
Okay. And Tab Coordinator Kotsukos.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you, Robbie. That'll move us on to our business items. Or sorry, I'm first a tab report. Elaine, do you have a report?
Yes. Do we have public comment?
Yes, for public comment.
Robbie, is there anybody who would like to speak for public comment?
We have not received any requests.
Thank you. Move on to the tab report.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. So tab met yesterday afternoon, and for the chair's report, Chair Hublin reported that the governance task force sent the report to the legislature, and so far nothing has happened yet. For the MnDOT report, Connie Sivjan reported that Minnesota received funding through the Reconnecting Communities Grant for Trunk Highway 55, which Olson Memorial Highway. Two entities applied for and received funding. MnDOT received $3.6 million, and Our Streets Minneapolis received $1.6 million. MPCA did not have a report. So Metropolitan Airports Commission, Kyle Crimmins reported that MSP was awarded the best airport in North America. This is the third year in a row and 7 out of 8 years. Let's see. Metropolitan Council report. Barbeau reported that the council is holding 30 listening sessions throughout the region for revisioning the next regional solicitation. And the State of the Region event is scheduled in Hopkins on March 22nd. For the Suburban Transit Association, Hanson reported that MBTA is implementing a schedule change, implemented on March 16th. They're adding in, again, the 4 funds seasonal service. And see, Prime and Eden, Southwest Transit is adding Waconia to begin service in 2025. And they are adding and expanding their special event service to include the Renaissance Festival in 2024. For business items, TAB had 2 streamlined tip amendments. One was for MnDOT's Robert Street project cost increase, which included or was part of a jurisdictional transfer to St. Paul. That was approved. And the second one was 3 project adjustments from MnDOT projects, and that was approved. And then they had 5 information items. So they had an update on the regional solicitation. The active transportation work group gave an update on their work. They are discussing options for the active transportation funding, including whether to use some of the funding with the 2024 project selection, a 2025 application, and a 2026 and future applications. So they're working through the different options, and we'll be bringing back a recommendation to TAB in the next month or 2. And then these information is uploaded on the meeting information with their notes is on the Met Council's Regional Solicitation webpage. For the 2024 Regional Solicitation update, Steve Peterson reported that funding and programming will be finalizing the scores today, and that TAB will receive the ranked list of projects next month. And then also reported that for the policymaker work group, 18 members from TAB and the council have volunteered, and meetings will start in April. And then they also had information items on Metro State Aid, Federal Project Update, Arterial Bus Rapid Transit Update, 2050 TPP Update, and then the Transportation Greenhouse Gas Emissions report from MnDOT. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Elaine. Any committee members have any questions or comments for Elaine regarding the TAB report? Elaine, one thing you noted or you mentioned was that you suggested that we were going to take action today to approve the final scores. Is that actually on our agenda? I know we're looking at a scoring appeal, but I didn't see an action.
Oh, the action should be part of that. It was consider the appeal and finalize the scores.
Ah, okay. Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chair, this is Joe. I apologize. We should have titled that one better, but it is included as part of the action on the 2024-18.
Thank you, Joe. We'll talk to you about that one when we get to it. Thank you. With the TAB report being complete, let's move on to our business items. I have 3 items today. The first being a scope change request from Hennepin County for their Nicollet Avenue and Golden Valley Road projects. Robbie, do you have a kind of a summary of the application?
Yep. So this is, thank you, Chair. So this is a scope change request from Hennepin County. There are 3 intersections included in this project. One at CSAH 52 and Nicollet Avenue and 67th Street, and then 2 intersections along Golden Valley Road. Hennepin County is requesting a scope change to remove the intersection improvement at Nicollet Avenue and 67th Street to be included in a, because that will be improved in a larger project to be completed along Nicollet Avenue in Richfield in Hennepin County. That larger project runs from 66th Street to 77th Street, which encompasses 67th Street and Nicollet, which is included in the project that's asking for the scope change request today. In 2020, Hennepin County was awarded $1,737,000 in HSIP funding for program year 2025 in the proactive category to include those 3 intersections. And again, they're going to be improving 67th Street and Nicollet Avenue in a larger project. So the recommended motion today is that the TAC Funding and Programming Committee recommend to TAC that TAB approve the Hennepin County scope change request to remove planned safety improvements at County State Aid Highway 52, Nicollet Avenue, and 67th Street. And I stand for questions.
Thank you, Robbie. And again, as part of the analysis, we went through our scoring to see if we would anticipate that if had this not been included in the original application, would it have changed how we awarded? The way I read the staff report was that there was no anticipated change to the score for this project, so it would not have impacted how projects were awarded. Is that correct?
Correct, Chair. It's 114 points above the highest scoring unfunded proactive project total of 461. So any minor change wouldn't have resulted in the project not being funded.
Very good. And the second point being a question of sometimes when we remove pieces and during scope changes, we reduce the amount of federal dollars. But generally, if they have been they are committed to constructing them as part of another project, we have not reduced federal dollars. Is that fair to say?
Correct. Yeah, that's recent precedent that when it's being completed in a separate project, funding has not been removed.
Thank you.
Federal funds have been retained.
Good. Do we have anybody from Hennepin County who would like to add to Robbie's presentation?
Hi, Cole Partridge here. Nothing to add from Hennepin County from my perspective and the project team.
Thank you, Cole. Committee members, do you have any questions or concerns this application? Or this request, I guess is a better term. Hearing none, would we have a motion to approve it?
This is OJ from Anoka County.
Thank
Make
you,
a
Jerry.
motion to approve it as stated by the staff.
Thanks, Jerry.
Mr. Chair, this is Paul Lakeville. I second that.
Thank you, Paul. We have a motion and a second. Could we please have the roll call?
Thank you, Chair. Anoka County, OJ.
Aye.
Carver County, Mielke.
Aye.
Hennepin County, Piper.
Aye.
Scott County, Thomas.
Aye.
Washington County, Dahlheimer.
Aye.
Bloomington, Keel.
Aye.
Eden Prairie, Ellis.
Aye.
Ridley, Kozlucher. Lakeville, Omi.
Aye.
Minneapolis Engineering, White.
Aye.
St. Paul Engineering, Weber.
Aye.
Metro Transit, Januiak.
Aye.
Suburban Transit, Scholl.
Aye.
ENR, Spooner, Walsh.
Aye.
MnDOT Bike Ped, Turner Bargain.
Aye.
MnDOT Metro District, Tag.
Aye.
MnDOT State Aid, Brown.
Aye.
MPCA, AO. Met Council, MTS, Peterson.
Aye.
TAB Coordinator, Kutsukos.
Aye.
Chair, the ayes have it.
Thank you, Robbie. That moves us to our second business item, which is number 2024-17, a program year extension by MnDOT for its US 8 intersection project. Robbie, if you could give us a background of this one.
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, 2024-17 is a program year extension request for MnDOT's US 8 HSIP project. So this is a project to improve 2 intersections, and in which MnDOT was awarded $544,500 to construct 2 left turn lanes at Hazel Avenue and close to 250th Street on US 8 in Chisago County. And MnDOT requests a program year extension so that the project can remain a part of a larger project. It's a larger US 8 reconstruction project led by Chisago County. It's a MnDOT project which has been moved 2026. So this project will extend from 2025 to 2026 to be a part of that larger US 8 reconstruction project. And the recommended motion is that Tech Funding and Programming Committee recommend to that tab approve the program year extension request for MnDOT's US 8 intersection access project to move from 2025 to 2026.
Thank you, Robbie. Is there anybody from MnDOT who would like to add to Robbie's presentation?
This is Dmitry Tomasevich, MnDOT East Area Engineer. I don't have anything to add. I think it was summarized well.
Thank you, Dmitry. Committee members, does anybody have any questions or discussion items related to this request? I would note that as part of the staff review, we have kind of a policy, a scoring system to judge these by. Minimum number 7 required to proceed, and this did meet the minimum number. So by policy, we would tend to approve these.
Chair, this is Maddie Dahlheimer, Washington County.
Yes, Maddie.
I would move to approve the program year extension.
Thank you.
From State Aid will second that.
Thank you, Colleen. We have a motion and a second. Could we please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair. Anoka County, OJ.
Aye.
Harbor County, Mielke.
Aye.
Dakota County. Hennepin County, Piper.
Aye.
Scott County, Jessen. Or, sorry, Thomas.
Thomas, aye.
Washington County, Dahlheimer.
Aye.
Leamington, Keel.
Aye.
Eden Prairie, Ellis.
Aye.
Dudley, Kozlucher.
Aye.
Lakeville, Omi.
Aye.
Minneapolis Engineering, White.
Aye.
St. Paul Engineering, Weber.
Aye.
Metro Transit, Genowiak.
Aye.
Suburban Transit, Scholl.
Aye.
DNR, Spooner, Walsh.
Aye.
MnDOT Bike Ped, Turner Bargain.
Aye.
MnDOT Metro District, Tag.
Aye.
MnDOT State Aid, Brown.
Aye.
MPCA, AO. Met Council MTS, Peterson.
Aye.
And Tab Coordinator, Kotsukos.
Aye.
Chair, the ayes have it.
Thank you, Robbie. That moves us to our third item, which is number 2024-18, which is a scoring appeal determination for the City of Hopkins on one of their projects, and the approval of the scores that have been recently completed for all the remaining solicitation items. Joe, are you going to cover this one?
I am. Thank you, Chair. And remember the time when I said that I put the completion of the scores in the motion? That was not true. I ended up putting it in the requested action, and I neglected it in the motion. But it is ultimately what we're going to do is try to approve the scores following this appeal. So the first thing I'm going to do is mention an update that I sent to all of you, but I sent it fairly recently. Late last week, somebody that was just an onlooker honestly figured out that this application for Farmington wasn't really up on the website, and it did lead to one measure or 4 measures and one criterion being scored with the incorrect application. So we did share that with the scorers to confirm that they all scored it correctly with this one exception, and they did. This one here didn't result in quite an increase in the scores based on now using the correct application. And as you and as I try to illustrate here, I've had one compliment on the arrows already. It moves it from about 84 points from about 15th to from 15th to 5th in the scoring. And this is really just a correction of an error. So we're trying to just be transparent, and whether or not a motion needs to be made to reflect this versus what was in the attached application, I'm not really sure, but we see no reason that we wouldn't move this Farmington project from the I think it was 890 or 799 that it shows in the original attachment to this 883. So if anybody, go ahead.
I mean, I think that it's fair to say that when we vote on that item to approve all the scores, that we would approve the scores as presented today, which would include this change.
Sounds good to me. So if anybody has any questions about that, let me know. Otherwise, I'll get back to the action item at hand. So in the action item, I'll just say that we put out a request or the ability to appeal scores a couple weeks ago with a March 13th due date. We only had the one application that you see here. It's an application from the City of Hopkins, and they wanted to discuss scores on their regional bicycle barrier study scoring measure in the multi-use trails and bicycle facilities category. We and the scorer and the chair, Craig Jensen, the chair of that scoring committee, discussed this and came to agreement. And I think, Craig, you're here and are going to deliver this now?
I don't know about delivering it, but we didn't really talk about this. I mean, we
really
talked
didn't.
about
I can do so if you want, and you can just say yay or nay to me, I suppose.
Well, yeah. I mean, why don't you go through it?
Okay.
I know what's we had.
Okay, so the scoring measure being discussed is broken up into two pieces. One, you get points for your location relative to regional bicycle barrier crossing improvements or major river barrier crossings. And then you get the best, and then the other one is a qualitative assessment of that we discuss here related to discussing how your project will close a bicycle network gap, create a new or improved physical bike barrier crossing, and or improve continuity connections between jurisdictions. Specifically, describe how the project would accomplish the following: closing a network gap, providing facility that crosses or circumvents a physical barrier, and or improving continuity or connections between jurisdictions. So the application received 0 for the part related to the crossings, and the applicant was not challenging that. They were challenging the score of 60 that they received for the qualitative piece. And so we got the scorer and the chair together, and given that this is a qualitative review, it's very challenging to sort of assess a score versus all the other applications when it's qualitative. So the applicant suggested that the project's ability, the project impact on the ability for users to safely reach a grade separate crossing in Minnesota 7 was overlooked by the score, and that the improvement to the Lake Minnetonka LRT regional trail crossing was overlooked. So the scorer felt that that the application being done relative to the other projects that were scored in part 1 of the measure was scored correctly, appropriately, and that points were awarded due to certain elements of the project's improved safety provided by an off-road trail, the improved crossing of the Minnesota LRT regional trail, and upgrading of facilities to match adjacent municipalities. Score noted that the trail will be along a non-trail roadway and that crossing improvements are at minor intersections, and the proposed trail doesn't directly improve crossing on Minnesota 7. So the score recommended no change, and that was something that staff and Craig, the chair, felt comfortable with. So Craig, if you had anything to add, please do so. Otherwise, we do have the applicant here. We don't really necessarily have presentations for these kind of things because the other applications don't get to do that, but they are here on hand for questions.
And it's,
At least
yeah,
I think
again, it is qualitative. It is reviewed against the other applications. And so what you have is a trail being constructed along a roadway with stops short of the barriers on each end of it. And yes, it does provide connections to another regional trail that eventually crosses the barrier, but it's not doing with the exact project, which some projects are actually removing the barriers. So it's scored against these other projects. And so the points felt after talking to the scorer and how they evaluated each of the applications, that it's consistent with how they went through the scores for each of the applications and how they distributed the points based on the qualitative assessment of all those projects. So I'm in agreement with the scorer and on that, and that the barrier itself, although it does eventually connect to another barrier, they still were gaining points for all these other connections and things like that. Out of 150 points, they got 60, but the biggest chunk of the points come from actually removing the barrier itself. So that's kind of where that's at.
Thank you,
again,
Craig,
scored
and thank
against
you,
other
Joe.
projects that are actually doing barrier removals.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Craig. I think we do have Kurt Howard from Hopkins with us. Kurt, do you have any additional information you'd like to present to the committee?
Chair and committee members, this is Kurt Howard at the City of Hopkins. I do not have any additional information, but do want to express my appreciation for staff, scoring committee, and this committee for taking the time to consider the appeal.
Thanks, Kurt, and thanks for joining us this afternoon. Committee members, do you have any questions or concerns regarding this request? And I think, again, I think we have, as I see it, we'll take two motions. The first is to take action on Hopkins' request for a change. And then the second would be to approve the scores for all the other, or all categories based on that change or no change. Committee members have any discussion first about the appeal by Hopkins?
And Mr. Chair, in both cases, this would be an action, not a recommendation. Both this would stop at this. This does not go on attack.
Good point. That this is the final determination of the scores. So, do we have a motion regarding City of Hopkins requested change to the score? The staff request or the staff report suggests that no change is appropriate.
Carl, this is Robert here. I would make a motion that the TAC F&P committee not change the score to Hopkins Measure 4A.
Thank you, Robert. We have a second.
Jason from Hennepin, I will second that motion.
Thank you, Jason. We have a motion and a second. Could we have the roll call, please?
Are we doing separate votes for the appeal and approving the?
I would suggest we do them as separate items.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Chair, for the roll call. Anoka County, OJ.
Aye.
Carver County, Mielke.
Aye.
Hennepin County, Piper.
Aye.
Scott County, Thomas.
Aye.
Washington County, Dahlheimer.
Aye.
Leamington, Keel.
Aye.
Eden Prairie, Ellis.
Aye.
Ridley, Lucher.
Aye.
Lakeville, Omi.
Aye.
Minneapolis Engineering, White.
Aye.
St. Paul Engineering, Weber.
Aye.
Metro Transit, Genowiak.
Aye.
Suburban Transit, Scholl.
Aye.
DNR, Spooner, Walsh.
Aye.
MnDOT Bike Ped, Turner, Bargain.
Aye.
MnDOT Metro District, Tag.
Aye.
MnDOT State Aid, Brown.
Aye.
No one on the call for MPCA. Met Council, MTS, Peterson.
Aye.
Tab Coordinator, Kotsukos.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you, Robbie. And now I think this would be the new motion that we would entertain, and that would be a motion to approve the final regional solicitation scores. Is anybody willing to make that motion?
Chair, this is Jason from Hennepin. I will make that motion to approve the final regional solicitation scores that corrects the sorting error on the bikeway category.
Thank you, Jason.
It's OJ from Anoka County. I'll second that.
Thank you, Jerry. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, if we could have the roll call, please.
Thank you, Chair. Anoka County, OJ.
Aye.
Carver County, Mielke.
Aye.
Anybody from Dakota County? Checking in there. Hennepin County, Piper.
Aye.
Scott County, Thomas.
Aye.
Washington County, Dahlheimer.
Aye.
Bloomington, Keel.
Aye.
Eden Prairie, Ellis.
Aye.
Ridley, Kozlucher.
Aye.
Lakeville, Omi.
Aye.
Minneapolis Engineering, White.
Aye.
St. Paul Engineering, Weber.
Aye.
Metro Transit, Genowiak.
Aye.
Suburban Transit, Scholl.
Aye.
DNR, Spooner, Walsh.
Aye.
MnDOT Bike Ped, Turner Bargain.
Aye.
MnDOT Metro District, Tag.
Aye.
MnDOT State Aid, Brown.
Aye.
Met Council MTS, Peterson.
Aye.
Tab Coordinator, Kotsukos.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you, Robbie. So that concludes our business items for today. If we move on to our informational section, we have one presentation today regarding the regional solicitation and the evaluation survey for that. Bethany, are you with us today to give that presentation?
I am. I also believe Tom is on here, so thank you, Chair and members. My name is Bethany Brandt, and I'm a planner at the council. We led an update to the Regional Solicitation Public Engagement Survey, and I'm going to turn it over to Tom now to provide the results, and then I can answer any questions at the end.
Tom, the floor is yours. Tom, if you're speaking, we're not able to hear you.
I think he's still figuring out his audio.
Okay.
Tom, if you want to advance the slides, I can start with the first couple. So the agenda today is just go through the survey overview and our approach to that, and then we'll get into the results. Next slide. So the goal was to gather input from residents on how to allocate the federal funds to support transportation in the region. And we took a more intentional approach this year, including some focused equity engagement. Next slide. The target audiences were the general public, and really focusing on those who have been underrepresented in transportation planning. And we also took a couple of opportunities to engage with stakeholders, including some local agency partners and the TAAC committee, the Transportation Accessibility Advisory Committee. Next slide.
I believe I have volume now. Sorry about that.
All right. My last comment is Peter Dugan joined us at an Egan Intercept survey. He's a member of TAB, and he was very enthusiastic to be there. So we're excited that he was able to join. I'll kick it over to you now, Tom.
Thank you. So for strategies, we used a combination of strategies to get feedback from our target audiences. We had an online survey, which was kind of the heart of this project. We promoted the survey through GovDelivery, social media, and Metro updates. And then we also did some direct emails to cities, counties, and community-based organizations across the Metro area to share our survey. We also did intercept surveys, so asking people at existing events and busy areas to take our survey. An intercept survey allowed us to meet folks where they're at, out in the community, and then also helped us to reach people we likely would not have otherwise reached through online methods. And then we've also done one focus group so far, and plan to do one more. Are still waiting confirmation, but we believe we have one confirmed for an East St. Paul BIPOC youth group. And then I will acknowledge in this next slide that our intercept surveys, we had challenges with a tight timeline conducting the intercept surveys in January and February. Some of the intercept surveys were successful and more successful in terms of numbers than others. But overall, we had nearly 300 survey responses, which is an increase of about 120 from the last regional solicitation survey. We also completed 7 intercept surveys, 1 in each of the 7 counties. So a couple of other notes on the intercept surveys. All of the people who are counted as part of the intercept surveys also took the online survey. So those are included in that 695 number on the top row for the online survey. And just anecdotally, all of the intercept survey participants are likely people who would not have participated otherwise in the online survey. We were able to have informal discussions with them, and it was people who don't usually see things like a Met Council survey come across their social media or their groups. So that was a great way to get some of those target audiences to participate. That was a quick move, hopefully some repeat information from a previous presentation we did with you all on the project overview. So I'm going to spend some more time now talking about the survey results. So overall, our survey, this online survey, the budget exercise was the main thing that we used to get feedback. We asked people to allocate $250 towards 11 different categories. We chose $250 since it's easier for folks to consider spending that amount versus $250 million, but to tell participants that $1 equals $1 million. The 11 categories matched the 11 program categories in regional solicitation, and each category included an example, like the image shown, the pop-up here for bridge improvements, had an image and then also a little bit more information if people wanted to read about what we meant by that category title name. So I'm going to start with a little bit of our who took this survey demographics. We have gotten responses from people in each of the 7 counties in the region. This graph shows the percentage of participants that live in each of the counties in red compared to the population in the region overall in blue. So the red survey numbers come from our survey, and the blue regional overall numbers come from the census, the American Community Survey 5-year estimates. So for our that top line for Anoka County, we had 20% of our survey participants from Anoka County compared to 12% of the overall regional population. The portion of our survey participants in Anoka County, Carver County, Hennepin County, and Ramsey County exceed or are very close to the percentage of the total population overall. And then our survey had relatively lower portions of participants from Dakota County, Scott County, and Washington County compared to that overall regional number. The majority of our survey respondents came from people finding the survey online, which again was promoted through GovDelivery, social media, Metro updates, and through Ask to our city and county agencies. The underrepresentation of some counties is not because we didn't try to engage with that area, but more likely because of who helped us promote the survey and the level of engagement or followers of our partner agencies and organizations that decided to share. One other demographic thing about who took our survey I wanted to share. This graph shows the participation of different races and ethnicities compared to the total population for the region overall. Same as the before graph, the red is for our survey participants and the blue is for the metro region overall. Although we had good participation from residents who identify as Native American, white, and 2 or more races relative to those portions in the region overall, we had low relative representation from Asian, Black, and Latino participants. However, we know that it would be difficult to get representative sample from all race and ethnicities using just an online survey. And I think we've mentioned that in a number of our presentations at the beginning of this project. So not a huge amount of surprises, different identities participate differently. We were able to get some of those deeper conversations at a lot of our in-person intercept surveys, higher quality. And we saw a lot of those Asian, Black, and Latino residents, as well as families, suburban residents, and younger people and older adults who might not have access to a vehicle at a lot of those intercept surveys. So although those numbers are low, we improved on the numbers from the last regional solicitation survey. And this is also anecdotally better than what we tend to get on typical surveys for the metro region. So now I'd like to jump into the results. The graph on the left in blue is showing the average funding by category type for that $250 budget overall. So again, $36 for that transit expansion at the top equals 36 million. Transit expansion was the highest average budget for of the 11 categories at $36, followed by increased roadway expansion at $34 and transit improvement at $30. Travel choice promotion had the lowest average budget at $6. And then the graph on the right with the green bars shows the percent of participants that contributed at least $1 to each of the category types. So for example, 69% of people contributed at least $1 to transit expansion of their total $250 budget, so $1 at least. And then this graph is mostly just to point out this one observation. Although increased roadway capacity, that second row overall, is the second highest average dollar amount in the blue bars. The percent of people who contributed at least $1 to that category is 48%. The second to lowest out of all of our categories. So this means that fewer people contributed more to increasing roadway capacity compared to our other top funding categories. Next, I'd like to share a graph that compares the survey participant results for the overall percent allocated to the 3 project types, roadways, transit, and bike ped, to the established modal funding ranges of these same project types set by the tab. So red are survey results, and then blue are those funding ranges set by the tab. So for roadway, the first set of 2 on the left, the average survey investment was 46% of available funds compared to that midpoint of 55.5% set by the tab. 46% is the bottom of that funding range for roadways. For transit, the average survey investment in the survey from participants was 29%. Compared to the midpoint of 30% set by the tab, very, very close to what the tab set it at. For bicycle and pedestrian, the average survey investment by participants was 25% compared to the midpoint of 14.5%. The established modal range for bike ped is 9 to 20%. So this is 5% points above the top of the range set by the tab is what the survey participants selected. We also asked participants to prioritize categories using another question in the survey. If you had money to spend on each of these categories, which category would you prioritize most? And then we asked those in the roadway, transit, and ped bike project groups. So when we asked about roadways, the 5 different funding or the 5 different category types, 38% of people said that they would prioritize bringing roadways up to current standards. For transit, 51% of people said they would prioritize transit improvements, and 40% said that they would fund transit expansion. And then for pedestrians and bicycles, 55% said they would prioritize multi-use trails and bicycle facilities. And then I'm actually going to come back to this same question in a moment to look at a specific group of people, but first wanted to add a little bit of context for our residents overall. So the project team conducted one focus group, so a small group discussion with older adults in Prior Lake. And all of the findings in the focus group that we heard were pretty well established compared to other recent engagement that Met Council and partner agencies have completed. So for example, we heard a lot about safety, personal security as top concerns for people who are traveling, and people who can drive in the suburbs tend to have access to a car, and have access to a car are able to get around pretty easily. So those are just some examples of those like well-established things that we've heard quite a bit before. We pulled out a few quotes that highlighted some other themes or impactful parts of our conversation that kind of add to the richness of the data that we're getting in the survey. So the first quote in blue highlights one resident's emphasis on improved transit. And they say, very little attention has been paid to Scott County. When you look at our transit times compared to Burnsville and Shakopee, Prior Lake really gets the short end of the stick in terms of our situation. Because for senior citizens like us, if you have something happen to you, this would be one of the worst places to be because we have very little options. I think a lot of people are focused to sell their houses and move away just because of transit, which is really unfortunate. The second quote in green requests more transportation options, especially for those who are unable to drive or may be unable to drive in the future. They say, I'm thinking of myself 5 to 10 years down the line. I would like a lot of options. If driving becomes an issue, or driving right now is already an issue, we're all pretty independent, but I imagine there are plenty of people out there that are not and would appreciate having options to do such a thing. And then finally, that third quote in red requests environmentally conscious transportation options. They say, I'm independent, but I don't want to see putting more pollutants into the air and more miles on my car. Again, this was from an older adult group in Prior Lake, so their identities shaped quite a bit of what we ended up talking about. A lot of our questions were just general. How do you get around? Why do you think these types of funding sources are more important than others? And these are the types of quotes that we ended up getting. I'd like to go back to talk about one of the identifying questions that we asked. We asked, who do you represent? On our survey, 83% of people said that they represented themselves rather than some separate group or interest. And I wanted to go back to this question because we wanted to take a look at people like yourselves on this committee who identify as part of the Met Council, either a committee or a Met Council member, and then compare to the overall responses. So the number of you who are Met Council members, number of people who took the survey who are Met Council members included 22 people, or about 4% of participants overall. I would like to note this is an edit from the presentation that we submitted. When we were going through and looking at these responses in a little more detail. We pulled out a couple of fishy ones where people had selected pretty much all of these as representative, and then there were a couple of other things that weren't quite right. So this number is 22 on the screen instead of 24. So this is the graph that I said I was going to go back to. The blue bars on top are for the overall participants. You've seen those numbers already. And then the red are for just Met Council tab, TAC, FNP, and planning members. So those numbers are for those 22 people who responded. For roadways, members had a different order than participants overall. The Met Council members selected to increase roadway capacity at a higher rate than participants overall. 27% of Met Council members, I'm on this third line here, selected increased roadway capacity compared to 17% of participants overall. And then even though Met Council members prioritize transit categories in the same order as participants overall, double the portion of members selected that travel choice promotions category, 18% compared to that 9%. And then ped and bicycle was fairly close. So I'll move on from there. So I'd like to wrap up with some findings. This is a lot of text, but this is the same as what's in your packets. So I'm just going to go ahead and read through all of them. Transit expansion was the category with the highest average funding at $36 per participant, again, out of $250 total. That was followed by increased roadway capacity at $34, transit improvements at $30, and then bringing roadways up to current standards at $29, and multi-use trails and bicycle facilities at $27. Budget results show a desire for bicycle and pedestrian funding, 25%. That is higher than the established modal range of 9 to 20%. Transit and roadway funding was within their established modal ranges. Intercept surveys helped us to target participants to get more diverse representation than online surveys would have allowed alone. And our focus group, and to a lesser extent, some of those conversations that we had during intercept surveys provided us with context of how participants identify identities and what they care about leads them to value different types of transportation funding categories. So we are all done, and thank you. We'd be happy to take any questions. I will note one quick thing. We do have a couple of extra participant demographic things in our back pocket here, but wanted to save more time for questions. We'd be happy to share some of those if needed. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tom and Bethany. Appreciate that. Anybody have any questions or comments for Tom or Bethany? Tom, I had one question. So the survey numbers, how do they compare to other similar reach efforts that you have? I mean, did you consider this to be a good number of people participating or a low number relative to other issues in the region?
It always depends on our agency, but one thing that we can compare directly is the previous version of this survey had about 120 less participants. So we're up in numbers overall. And I guess I will jump to some of our demographics here at the end. We had some things about age and gender and ability. We did a lot better job of reaching people who are living with disabilities and a lot better job of reaching people who identify as women than the last survey as well. So some improvements on not only the numbers overall, but who we're reaching that are more representative of the region overall.
And it was interesting on the age. It looks like, generally the 25 to 50-ish range, working folks were more likely to have participated.
Yeah.
Sometimes surprised me on ours. Oftentimes we get our older folks generally are the ones that are more active in these kind of things.
Yeah, I would say that was definitely a little bit of a surprise. The under 18 is not surprising. That wasn't a huge focus of this one. But again, that last focus group is with a group, likely with a group that is going to be students under 18 that might have a lot of good context to add to that conversation.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments from committee members?
Chair.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Thanks. Chair and Tom, in regards to the maybe on the roadway capacity, so I think it's slide 11. Yeah. Yep. Slide 11. There it is. Was there any other data in regards to transit in reference to, say, the core counties, say Ramsey and Hennepin? So you got transit that might be more popular in your denser counties versus maybe roadway capacity might be more of your ring counties. I mean, is there any breakdown of that information regarding that on who's responded to certain categories?
So there was, I'm not sure if Bethany talked about this at an original meeting, but there was unfortunately a break between the budget tool and then the zip codes weren't linked directly. I think anecdotally we did hear more about roadway and roadway capacity at some of those intercept surveys that happened in non-core county areas. We also had like conversations like the ones in Prior Lake where people were asking for transit as well. So I'm not sure if there's an exact cut or number that we could make. And it's also like the, you know, how much do we value like this person's qualitative comment that we got in a focus group versus like this difference in percents. So to answer your question, no, we did not look at that. And I don't think we're unfortunately not going to be able to directly link zip codes to people who answered, who did the roadway capacity based on the survey software that we were using.
Okay.
I kind of question on the same slide before we go. I mean, I thought it was interesting, the green lines that talked about, you know, where people put at least $1. And it shows, to me, I kind of read that to say that some people didn't put an ounce in roadway capacity or in certain categories. Did you find that people that filled this tool out tended to lump their money in their favorite category and not distribute it, or did everybody distribute it?
It was a mix. I didn't see too many that were all $250 into one category, but there were a number where they put it into a couple categories versus doing across the board. That might be something interesting to look at though, but this was kind of clear to me that a lot less people, exactly like you said, a lot less people are putting more money into roadway capacity compared to like some of these other top ones overall. I see Steve's hand up.
Oh, sorry, I'm not seeing hands at all here.
Oh, my hands get tired.
People are going to speak up because I'm not seeing a hand. So I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah, no problem, Mr. Chair. So I guess first thanks to Bethany and Tom for doing this. You may remember we did this a year ago as the first kind of attempt to get public input at an earlier stage of the process. I think we made a lot of really good improvements on what we did, and the results I think show maybe a wider swath of the region, different types of people, age groups, etc. So I think both Bethany and Tom and others on this project, you did a really good job in doing so, and we'll bring this to TAC and TAB, and this will be one of kind of several inputs as we develop funding scenarios and think about where to put our money. The one question I did have, Tom, for you is, like for instance on this slide, transit expansion is shown as $36 million out of $250 million budget. But then we asked the question in a different way on a few slides later, and the priority was transit improvements over transit expansion. And I just wonder if you have any thoughts on, and I saw it happen in a few other instances too, on is it just the way we asked the question that that people kind of change their mind a little bit on that, or what do you make of that?
I'm not sure, and that's kind of one for you all to balance. So it very well could have been that people who wanted more transit expansion put more money towards it than people who wanted transit improvements. It was just a different way of wording the same question. This one, of course, was the $250 budget, but then this one was, which of these do you prioritize? And we gave them the group of 5, the group of 3 for transit, and then the group of 3 for ped bike.
Yeah.
I
Go ahead, Bethany.
think this question gets at forcing people who may have not put a single dollar into one category to pick a project in that category. So you probably have people, or you may have had people say a whole bunch of money in strategic capacity, but if you have to spend money in transit, you should improve transit before you expand it, or put all their money in bikes and then said, okay, we can bring roadways up to standard if we have to. Like, that's the trade-off. It doesn't give them all of the options, but then you can see what's most important in each of the categories.
Thank you. That's kind of what I thought it was. The first one is looking at all the categories, and so then you're a little bit more modal focused, I'd say. But then when, like you said, you're forced to spend some money, even if you don't love that mode, where would you put that money? Because in the end, we are going to spend money across all the modes here. So
I sometimes wonder if people aren't as nuanced as we might be about the differences in transit expansion versus improvements, and they just go for the word transit or roadway or bike ped or whatever it happens to be.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Any other comments or discussion?
Just Chair jumping in, Jim with Fridley.
Yes, thanks, Jim.
Yeah, hey, if you can go back to slide 11, I would just think it might be a interesting exercise to put in our modal splits in relation to the average allocation, just to compare how the funding has been versus what was versus the survey response.
Bethany, do you want to respond to that one? I think we kind of got at it with this, but not quite. That is a good suggestion, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, are you looking for like actual split in terms of how people travel currently, or just based on historic investments within the regional solicitation?
Well, let me clarify. I think it's the investment piece, and our current allocation or modal split from maybe the last cycle or last couple of years or what have you. It'd be interesting to see that.
Yeah, I know last year, due to the influx of cash during the process through the carbon reduction program, we did spend more than the 20% at the top of the bike and ped modal split. But that was because of the extra money in the middle of the process. So that one I recall offhand, but prior to last solicitation, I'm a little fuzzier.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's good information to have and good reference point to maybe look at, how those investments compare with, public input. And I really do like the one that's up on 12. I think that's, it's of interest, definitely. And I think, similar comparison could be made to, to the subcategories in 11. That would be even of more interest. I'm one of probably a number of data geeks on here, so it's always interesting to have more.
I'm back on number 12. Are those Joe's arrows? Whose arrows are those, or what are those arrows?
Those arrows represent the modal funding range, so 46 to 65. My personal takeaway on this slide is these are actually the exact same percentages from the 2022 survey results. So the public was incredibly consistent between the two. And I think that tells us something.
Interesting.
So 46, 29, and 25% were the exact same.
Yes.
Wow. Any other discussion?
Chair, this is Jason from Hennepin.
Yes, please go ahead.
Just a few comments, Chair. So appreciate that the survey was shared before the funding scenarios were presented. I think that's really important to get this feedback before kind of the cat's out of the bag, just to get unbiased feedback. And then from Hennepin County, I think we just submitted one survey response just to have one consistent voice. So just to share that feedback with Met Council. And then lastly, Tom, could you go to slide 11? That's been a popular one today. And now, as I was filling this out a couple months ago, what is it, 11 categories or so, and $250 is our budget. You would think this would be pretty easy to kind of balance your needs, but I was even finding the $5 increments to become a challenge. I remember bridges. I really wanted to show bridges as a priority, and unintended consequences, you kind of shortchange one or more categories. So just wanted to share kind of some of the experiences I had filling this out.
It was interesting also filling them out with people in person. You know, somebody would say, "Oh yeah, I really like that one," and then they would get down to the bottom and then they would be out of money, so they'd have to go back up and take away money. So it really does make you think about what your actual priorities are when you get down to it.
I wonder if TAB has that same challenge when they do this. Great discussion. I don't want to cut it short. Is there anybody else has any items?
This is Heidi Scholl with STA. Real quick, obviously the next slide, I think it's number 14. Slide 14 gives me a little bit of pause. So I know that you had stated you don't know zip codes, but this is pretty specific information regarding survey location of the person taking the survey. Do you have additional comments from other survey participants in relation to location as well?
Yes, we have a zip code for all of the demographic related things, but it is decoupled from the budget responses. Sorry if that was confusing.
Nope, I get it now. I'm assuming you have some other comments too. I would love to see transit comments that didn't make the presentation.
Sure. We took very close notes for our focus group. That it was a 6-person discussion with these older adults in Prior Lake, and then we have some more high-level comments as well as a couple quotes from our intercept surveys as well. But not that intercept surveys. The main focus was to get people to take the survey, and then if they said anything out loud, we would write those down.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good comment. I kind of felt the same. I mean, the 3 you chose to show are all from the same demographic group, right?
It is, yep.
Yep.
But it is the only focus group we did. We chose specifically that group because we are looking for one in Scott County. We just wanted to get some sort of suburban discussion around transportation, and it was the group that said we can do this in February 2024.
Very good. Anybody else have their hand up or would like to speak?
Here, I'd just like to make a note in the chat here that's not visible to online viewers. Member Scholl asked if attendees could receive the presentation, and it's available on the funding and programming meeting page if others would like to view this presentation after the meeting is concluded.
Thank you, Robbie. Well, great conversation, and I appreciate the presentations. Nice job, Tom and Bethany. Very interesting info. With that brings us to the end of our agenda. Do we have any other business that people would like to bring up? Seeing none, I would call this meeting to an end, adjourned. We're done. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.